Intel might have just dropped one of the new price to performance budget kings. But should you buy one? Let's find out. So we're talking about the new Core Ultra 5 250K Plus and the Core Ultra 7 270K Plus. And on paper, these look very aggressive. According to Intel, you've got up to 13 to 15% better gaming performance, up to 90 to 100% better multi-core, and the price, well, it's starting pretty good. $199 for the Core Ultra 5 and $299 for the Core Ultra 7. So on paper, these look insane for the money. Well, that's Intel's numbers, and we know they're not always going to be right. Right, so I've gone through some testing from Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, and the good news is, these are genuinely competitive, especially in production workloads. Now this is where things start to get interesting. This is a 14 game average done by Hardware Unboxed, and if we look at where these CPUs actually land relative to their competitors, first off, the 270K Plus, it's just sitting below AMD's X3D chips, but very close to something like the 14900K. That's pretty high-end performance. Then the 250K Plus, this lands more in that mid-tier range, right around chips like the Ryzen 9600X or the 9700X. So no, these aren't the fastest CPUs we've seen, but they're much closer than Intel has been in years. And this is a big shift because over the last few years, AMD has been winning efficiency, value, and just gaming consistency all round. X3D has just launched AMD onto the platform. I know not everyone has an X3D chip, but right now pretty much every high-end build considered to be the top tier build will have an X3D chip in there. If you go to Amazon listings, if you look at the top sellers for CPUs, AMD pretty much dominates the space, and in every recommendation video that I come across right now, because of the longevity you get on both AM4 and AM5 platforms, the price to performance we were getting as well, AMD has just been there above what Intel can actually realistically deliver. Intel has just found itself continuously behind. Now, we know that wasn't always the case. Intel have had years of domination at the top, and seeing products released now at this kind of price to performance isn't really a shock. We often see the dominating brand at the top only increase prices as they take market share, whilst their competitors, and in this case Intel, the ones trying to catch up, start releasing hardware at much lower price points, and they start fighting those battles at different tiers. And in this case, for me, this comes in really at those people trying to set themselves up for budget builders. Well, I say budget builders, not low-end budgets, but definitely those entry to mid-level budgets. So finally, after the last few years, it feels like Intel has re-entered the conversation. These chips aren't just faster, they're smarter. They are improving the architecture at pretty much every level. We have improved hybrid core balance, high usable boost clocks, better cache handling, and more reasonable power behavior. And most importantly, they are priced to compete. If you want to check out the full specs, Intel has some listed on their official website. I'll drop a link below. My key takeaway from all this is, for gaming, it's in and around probably where you expect them to be, but for productivity, it's absolutely doing well right this second. And if you're looking to get one of these CPUs to support productivity workloads, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. You're getting performance that is much closer to high-end expensive CPUs, but at a much, much lower price point. Now, should you look to upgrade if you're already on a high-end CPU or even a mid-range CPU? Probably not. I think for me anyway, CPUs are one of those ones people probably upgrade far too often when they probably don't actually need to, especially when it comes to gaming. You see all these people that find themselves almost entirely GPU limited, but find themselves upgrading the entire platform and upgrading CPUs and stuff as well, which isn't necessarily netting you any increase over what just an increase in a GPU would do. Obviously that's situational dependent, depends on your settings, your resolution, the types of games you're trying to play, and what you're looking to achieve. And yeah, it is dependent is what I'm going to leave that as. But you do see it far too often, people upgrading their CPUs when they don't actually need to. But there's one important factor here that we've not really addressed, and that's the full cost of what one of these builds might cost you, especially if you're starting from scratch. Now, like all modern CPUs now, these are DDR5 only platforms, And right now, DDR5 still isn't cheap, right? I'll show some examples here on screen of what the current costs are, but in some builds, your RAM could cost as much, if not more, than one of these CPUs. And suddenly, it maybe kind of feels a little backwards. That budget-friendly CPU suddenly doesn't feel so budget anymore. However, that isn't really a situation that is specific to Intel. You're going to have that no matter what modern platform, whether that's one of AMD's on AM5, you're going to have that same issue. And if you're paying more for a CPU, then you're only paying more. It just feels backwards here to be spending as much, if not more, money on your RAM compared to your CPU. But that is just the day we're in right now. But I guess the more disappointing point here is this particular socket isn't expected to last long. I think we've already forecasted to move on to the new Intel socket later on in 2026. So unlike AM4, which had quite a number of years of support, AM5, which is still supported across multiple generations, including the next up and coming generation as well, this one is going to feel kind of lackluster. Once you move on to this generation, there doesn't really appear that there's going to be any kind of upgrade path for you. And this is something I just think Intel absolutely has to change going forward. It needs to design its CPUs around platform longevity. Days are gone where consumers upgrade their entire platforms every couple of years just to keep up with a new board or CPU. That's not the way things work anymore. The way you get customers and the way you get your consumers back and take hold of that market share again is by creating something that can last far longer, that offers much more that offers many more upgrade paths along the way. It feels far better to know that if you've entered into a platform, especially at the budget level, that not only within the generation that you came into, you've got potential to upgrade, but if you don't upgrade for a few years, that you can actually go to even the lower or mid-range of that future generation and still be leaps and bounds above that generation that you came in at. So that to me is how Intel can start taking some of this back. And it's definitely one to consider if this is something that interests you in buying. So here's how I'd probably actually look at it. If you want relatively strong performance, what appears to be great value today, and a system you'll use for a few years, these Intel chips are a very, very strong option again. It's good to actually finally say that. I don't think I've recommended Intel in quite some time. But if you do want that long-term upgrade, want that platform longevity, AMD to me probably still makes more sense. As mentioned, if you're coming at this from a productivity lens instead of just gaming, then this definitely could be the one for you. And the real story here is Intel isn't going to suddenly be dominating again, but they're definitely back in the chat. They're back in the conversation and they're back competing at a price point that I think is going to be difficult to beat. And that's exactly what we want as consumers because that encourages competition. So let me know if you're thinking about getting one of these CPUs or if you're planning an upgrade anytime soon. And if this helped you in any way, drop a like and subscribe.